Hello. God, you know what? I feel like, I don't know why I did that far. That was a lot. And my voice, darling, my voice is just, oh, it's so deep. Hey y'all, welcome back to Bookishrealm, or welcome if you're new here. As you can see from the title of this video, boy, I don't know how y'all feel about this one. But we're gonna talk about it anyway, because that's what we do here. We have fun, we hee-hee, we ha-ha, and we talk about some serious stuff. So you can see from the title of this video, I want to talk about four, it's not really disagreements, maybe it is disagreements, but four disagreements, I'm gonna say, that got the book community in a chokehold. Baby, I needed to release us. I need us to be done. I need us to just let these burdens go, because this is just ridiculous. So, as most of you know, I've been a part of the community for a very, very long time. And I know y'all are sick of me saying it, and I'm sick of saying it too. Don't worry, I don't think I'll be here much longer in general. But in the time that I have been in a part of this community, not just the booktube community now, we're talking Bookstagram, Book Twitter, now Book Talk, we seem to find ourselves in a place where we are constantly having the same disagreements over and over again. And it speaks to a lot of things. I think that what's interesting is that as new people enter into the community, they are not actively aware that we've already had these conversations, right? And then it sparks the same cycle that we have every single year. And plus, I think that it's just, these are disagreements that I think we just can't seem to come to terms with. There is no middle ground in which the two opposing sides may have some, you know, okay, I see where you're coming from. We're done. Like, let's not do this anymore. So these, in my opinion, got us in a chokehold, baby. And they ain't finna let us go. They finna do everything but let us go. And that's alright. It's okay. We still gonna be here having these arguments every single year. And guess what? If you ever make a book community bingo card, I feel like these four should always be on your card. No matter what. Because at some point, the conversation's gonna happen. Alright, the first one. Do audiobooks count or don't count as reading? I wish I could say that maybe science, maybe just experience, maybe just life in general, we would stop having this conversation. But I literally saw this on TikTok like a couple weeks ago where someone said, oh, y'all were talking about you were reading all of these books in a month. I didn't realize that you were listening to audiobooks. You're not really reading all the books that you say you're reading. I just wish at some point, and maybe I shouldn't really self-insert here because at the end of the day, I have my opinions about each one of these things, but this is one that I think I stayed like 10 toes strong on, because at the end of the day, why are we telling people what doesn't and what does count as reading? I always look at it from an accessibility standpoint. I always look at it from the angle of those who are disabled. And so, you know, I know kids that I've worked with who literally have visual disabilities or have learning disabilities, and audiobooks are the best way for them to read. And I just couldn't imagine looking at a child and being like, you're not really reading. You're listening. You're not really reading though. So we can't count that as you reading that book because you didn't, somebody was reading it to you. You learn how to read, by the way. We always talk about this. You learn how to read through hearing words. A lot of us going to story time and all that stuff. Or having someone read to us when we're younger. A lot of the way that you make those initial connections to words is through hearing them read to you. Which is why they often tell parents, caretakers, caregivers, like, it's important to read to your child every day so that they can make these connections. So, you know, I'm trying to figure out when we finna let that go. When we just go say reading is reading. It don't matter what you, ebook, audiobook, physical, somebody reading the book to you in person. At this point, what does it count? I mean, what does it matter? All right, let's talk about the second thing that we just, y'all, it's gonna come up. It always comes up towards the end of the year. Why are we still talking about the number of books that people are reading and that it's not possible. I have been called insensitive for saying that I don't think it should matter either way. So let me reframe from saying that. Why are you so concerned by, no, never mind, I lied. I'm not going to, because at the end of the day, I still don't understand. Like, it's for some reason, the amount that people read for some individuals feels very competitive and unnecessary, and that you can't be reading that much books because you can't possibly retain that information. And that argument has been an argument since the beginning of time, since the dinosaurs, since the Cretaceous period. We have not let that go. And I really want us to just let that go. Because if Susie's over here reading 50,000 books a year, that is not my business. I don't care what Susie does. I don't even care if Susie's lying. It's not my business at the end of the day. If that's 50,000 books, that's between Susie and the books. That ain't got nothing to do with me. The same way I'm not going to look at Johnny on my left here and be like, ooh, Johnny only read 5 books a year. Not my business. I don't care what Johnny's doing. I don't care if Johnny's lying about only reading 5 books. When did we become so invested in other people's personal lives? Whether, people are lying or not. People lie to you every day. But this is the lie that you want to battle. Like, there's no way for you to provide concrete evidence whether that person is reading or not. Like, we could be dealing with so many other lies. Like the fact that our government lies to us all the time. So how about we just got evidence of that? We should be fighting against that and fighting against Susie and Johnny and the amount that they do or do not read. I personally just feel like that's wild. It's wild to me. The third one, and I feel personally invested in this third argument because somehow, some way, not me in particular, but me and my comrades are always pulled into this disagreement. Piracy. I never really get involved in the piracy conversation because it always happens. Every year, somebody's pirating something, or an author finds out that something's been pirated, and then everything just hits the fan. Everything hits the fan. And then the conversations that happen, some of them are elitist, some of them are classist. Then it's not just the piracy conversation that happens. It's the just use your local library. And see, I be wanting to do the Nene like, see, now why did I get brought into this? Well, why am I part of this? Like, I ain't got nothing to do with this. No, why am I getting brought into the situation? Because at this point, you ain't got nothing to do with that. I think that the issue with this argument, or why this disagreement always has me mind blown, is because most people who are talking about use your local library are in fact not librarians. And so it's always interesting watching people who have never worked in libraries, who are not currently working in libraries, and may never work in a library, are making commentary about what libraries can and cannot do. It's fascinating. And I just wonder, how many of you would feel some type of way if I was on there talking about your profession as if I was an expert, and your profession is the way to cure, I don't know, hunger, and you're looking at me like, girl, no, absolutely not. No, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. I do not typically get involved in that disagreement. I typically do not get involved in that disagreement because there's a lot of layers to that I think that sometimes we just don't explore. But somebody's feelings are hurt. We can't tell somebody how to feel. Somebody's feelings are hurt, or author's feelings are hurt about piracy. They get on the internet, they express themselves, and then it's like watching a snowball effect. Literally every year. Every single year. I don't know if the piracy conversation has happened yet this year, but it's bound to happen. It's bound to happen. And the last one, because who would we be as a community of books that we often purchase? Who would we be if we didn't talk about consumerism? There's a lot of points to be made on both sides of the consumerism disagreement. As somebody gets fed up with book hauls, and it's somebody hauling unnecessary, or I don't even say necessary because that's not fair, hauling excessive amounts of books and then unhauling them. and it drives people wild. I mean, the nerves are tap dance on. The nerves are fried, honey. Child, they is fried to a crisp. They are done. People are fired up about the book hauls and the special editions and then unhauling them. And listen, I am very kind of see a lot of both on the side of this. Like, you can't tell people how to spend your money. Like, you can't tell people how to spend their money. That's not your business. But then it's like, when you have the power of influence in the public platform, like, do you have some responsibility, to own up to? So there's a lot to be said about the consumerism. Like I said, there's a lot to be said about the consumerism disagreement. I am just here, I'm just here when it comes to that one as well. I just watched, because this is currently on a book buying ban, and so it makes me no difference either way, because I'm not finna get like nothing out of any of this, and that's okay. It's fine. All right, y'all. So this is it's just for fun, okay? But I think that it's always interesting that when we are a part of a community, or you've been a part of a community for a certain amount of time, and not even necessarily as long as I've been a part of the community, but it's always interesting watching us kind of revisit these topics over and over, because for a lot of these, I think there isn't really a solution. Like, we can advocate for one side all that we want, but we've never come to a middle ground for any of these. And for some of these, I think people have a hard line in which there is no reaching no middle ground. I know specifically, like, some of these are more difficult topics to reach a middle line on than others. Like, are the audiobooks real? For a lot of people, there is no middle ground on that, because at the end of the day, audiobooks do count as real reading. It is reading it in and out. I think that for me, I'm one of those people who definitely advocates for audiobooks, and I don't have a middle ground to reach. And so I think what ends up happening is, not only are you getting into this expansion of all communities where reading has definitely shifted in its level of popularity, which is great. Like, I love to see people read. Librarian in me loves to see that more people are engaging with books for enjoyment, for pleasure, for learning, or whatever. But one of the things that comes with that, with the expansion of territory, is that people begin to learn certain things. And so when they're a part of this community, or they're becoming a part of this community, and they're seeing certain things that they've never seen before, it is very likely that the same disagreements that we see as cyclical, very old, can we just leave it where it's at, they are going to constantly be brought up, because these are things that constantly affect the community in general. These are things that are not going to necessarily go away, because I don't think that these are issues that you can necessarily fix. If I'm a new content creator, or I'm a new viewer, and I see people with these beautiful bookshelves filled with books, there may not be a first instinct to think that, oh, this person is doing massive amount of book hauls, and that's how they're acquiring all their materials. This could be a thought process of, oh, like, this is, they've built their collection throughout the years, and this is just, it is what it is, and then a book haul will drop. And then as a new content creator or a new viewer, I'm just kind of like, oh my goodness gracious, like, I did not know this was a thing. For me personally, this feels a little bit excessive. And then, seeing people unhaul stuff also is a new thing. So I think that, to be honest with you, this was all in jest. It was all for fun. But on a serious note, I don't think that these disagreements are ever going to go anywhere. I think that every year in, year out, we're constantly going to see them, because the communities are constantly growing. It's not that we have people who are constantly we do have people who are constantly leaving, but the influx is greater than the shrinking of the community. And so there's no expectation in my personal head here, not saying for y'all, because you may feel differently, but I think there is just no expectation from in terms of myself that these will ever go somewhere else. And it's interesting, because I wonder if at any point we'll come in with different I guess points, not arguments, but different points to back these arguments, or disagree with, however, whatever side you stand on in any of these disagreements. Because what I do find that's very interesting is that the debating points for both sides typically do not change. that is probably it for me. It's not the constant disagreements that are fascinating. It's the fact that the points made to support or disagree never really change much. Like the piracy, without fail, libraries always get brought into it. It's never going to change. We always get dragged into that conversation. We have nothing to do with it at all. And it still stands that a lot of times the people who are advocating for the use of libraries are not, in fact, librarians or have never worked in a library. So it's fascinating watching this idea that the disagreements are just not changing. Like they're not changing, and then the points that are being made during disagreements are also not changing. It's very cyclical, very interesting to watch, although I know for some people it's very old, it's tired, it's worn out, but I'm here to tell you, boo, they ain't finna go nowhere and it's perfectly fine. We gonna be alright. We gonna be alright. We gonna be alright. I'm done. I'm really done. I'm finished. I'm cooked. I'm actually quite parched. Alright, y'all, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, click subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. If you're looking for ways to support the channel, follow me on social media. All the links will be down in the description box below, and I'll be back with another video soon. Toodle.
I'm on my own, broken and alone. I feel the rain crashing down all